The Yonge North Subway extension, after years of talk, diagrams, and that endless purgatory known as planning stages, is finally moving into its next real phase. A contract has been awarded to a consortium called North End Connectors, and their job is clear: design and build the twin tunnels that will finally push Toronto's busiest subway line further north, beyond the city's boundaries, into Vaughan, Markham, and Richmond Hill. This isn't just about a stretch of track. This is about breaking one of the most stubborn transit deadlocks in the Greater Toronto Area. For decades, Line 1 has stopped at Finch, leaving everything north of it, including the bustling communities along Yonge Street and York Region, to rely on buses, car commutes, and the kind of transfers that sap time and patience. And yet, those areas aren't quite suburbs anymore. They've grown into dense, vertical, urban in all but name. So when we talk about impact, we're not just talking about a little convenience here. We're talking about a deep rewiring of how tens of thousands of people move through their day. Here's the part that's secretly beautiful. This extension isn't just about Richmond Hill getting a subway. It's about knitting the GTA together in a way that's actually logical. For once, Toronto and York Region are acting like neighbors instead of awkward cousins at a family barbecue. When this thing opens, it's going to mean fewer cars on the 404 and 407, faster commutes for people in the North End, and, dare I say, a future where someone from Richmond Hill might actually consider taking transit for a trip to Toronto without a sarcastic laugh. Think about what this project is physically. 6.3 kilometers of twin-bore tunnels running from Finch up to new surface connections past Highway 7. The first part, those twin tunnels, will carry trains underground to Steeles, Cummer-Drury, and Clark stations. Then the tracks emerge and run along the existing CN Richmond Hill GO Rail corridor to reach the new bridge station, just north of Highway 7. And that bridge station, let's pause on it, is a critical puzzle piece. It will connect the subway directly with GO Transit's Richmond Hill line and Viva Bus rapid transit routes, making it one of those rare nodes where multiple systems actually talk to each other. Here's where the GTA transit map starts to change. Right now, someone commuting from Richmond Hill to downtown has a few imperfect options: an infrequent GO train, a long bus ride down Yonge to Finch, or a drive. This extension wipes out that bottleneck at Finch entirely. The travel time savings are projected at 22 minutes for someone making that trip into Toronto. 22 minutes every single day. Over months and years, that's an entirely different rhythm to a commute. We're not just shrinking distance, we're expanding the possibilities of what you can fit into a morning, into an evening, and into a whole life. And the reach? 26,000 more people will now live within a 10-minute walking distance of a subway station. That's a huge shift in accessibility, particularly for parts of Thornhill and Richmond Hill that have been underserved by rapid transit despite their density. It also means a big drop in reliance on buses for those last few kilometers. Buses that, let's be honest, crawl down Yonge Street during rush hour like they're in a parade no one asked for. Now, the Ontario government is framing this as part of a much bigger push, a whole subway program that also includes the Ontario line, the Scarborough subway extension, and the Eglinton Crosstown West extension. And yes, each of those has its own story, its own drama, but the Yonge North extension is unique because it finally extends the reach of Toronto's original subway spine, the Yonge line, into the GTA's northern communities. That spine is the system's backbone. You strengthen the backbone and the whole body moves better. Let's talk about the numbers, not just the financial kind, but the ones that actually tell you what riding it will feel like. The extension is expected to carry more than 90,000 passengers every single day. That's not just a statistic, that's every train in the morning filled with new faces, new rhythms of boarding and alighting. A constant churn of movements between York Region and the heart of Toronto. It also means relief for the existing bus network, especially the Viva Blue and the YRT routes along Yonge Street, which are currently doing a lot of the heavy lifting just to funnel riders to Finch. There's also an environmental story here. The government's projections say that this extension will cut 7,700 kilometers of vehicle travel every single rush hour. That's thousands of cars off the road. Less congestion, not just on Yonge Street, but on the 407, the 404, and all of those feeder streets in between. And with that comes a projected reduction of 4,800 tons of greenhouse gas emissions every single year. Again, forget the politics. This is simply better air, less noise, fewer mornings of sitting bumper to bumper watching the brake lights ahead of you. The other quiet but important part of the update is that some of the early construction work is already happening. We're talking about the support head walls. for stations and emergency exit buildings. Foundational work that's not glamorous but essential. If you've seen those fenced-off sites along Yonge north of Finch, that's the physical start of the project. This isn't just a PowerPoint presentation anymore. There's dirt being moved, concrete being poured. But the real impact across the GTA will come in how this extension changes travel patterns far beyond just Yonge Street. The bridge station's connections to Go and Viva mean that people from even further north, such as in Aurora, Newmarket, and Keswick, can come down to the Richmond Hill Go line, transfer directly to the subway, and bypass the bottleneck of Finch buses entirely. Likewise, people from the west coming on Highway 7 or on the Viva Purple route will have a new rapid transit connection point that doesn't involve slugging all the way to the current subway terminus. Imagine it. The first morning the extension opens, there's a steady stream of riders walking into those gleaming new stations, many of them for the first time stepping straight onto a subway without the intermediate bus ride. The commute feels smoother, more predictable. You see neighbors on the platform you'd only ever spotted in traffic before. Trips into Toronto for work, for school, for a concert, for a doctor's appointment. Suddenly, they're less of a production and more of a given. That shift over time changes how people see the city and the place that they live. The extension will also force transit agencies, TTC, YRT, Viva, and Go, to rethink their route maps. Bus routes will be shortened or reoriented to feed the new stations. That frees up buses for other corridors and could lead to better service elsewhere in the region. We might even see new east-west connections to better serve Steele Station or Clark Station. The network gets denser, more flexible, and most importantly, more useful. And let's not overlook the psychological aspect. Right now, crossing the Toronto city limit on transit often feels like a chore. 2 systems, 2 fares, and a level of coordination that can charitably be described as minimal. With the subway stretching into York Region, that artificial barrier softens. The mental map of the GTA changes. Toronto's subway won't just be Toronto's anymore, it will physically and visibly be along the entire region. Now as a part of a broader tapestry, the Yonge North Extension is one thread among many. The Ontario Line, Scarborough Subway Extension, Eglinton Crosstown West, together they redraw transit capacity and possibility. But this one is unique. It stretches Toronto's original spine northward, physically into communities it had long overlooked. And let's be honest, the day this opens, every single politician from Toronto to Richmond Hill is going to show up, take credit, and act like they were the ones personally running the tunnel boring machine. But here's the thing. For once, they can have their photo op, because this is one of those projects where people will actually say, yeah, thanks, this helps. So yes, the update is simple. Contract awarded. Tunneling moving forward. Real construction underway. But the implications are huge. This isn't just more track. It's a long overdue stitching together of communities that have been separated by gaps in the rapid transit network for far too long. And if everything stays on schedule, and a big if, given GTA Transit history, we could see this transformation within a decade. When that day comes, the Greater Toronto Area's transit map will look and feel fundamentally different. And for those tens of thousands of daily riders, the grind of the commute will be replaced, if not by joy, then at least by a sense of connection, speed, and possibility that simply wasn't there before. And that is the real impact of this extension. I hope that you liked the video. If so, please give it a like. If you're not subscribed and want to be notified of new videos that are released, please click on the Art Toronto button here. This is the video that I would recommend for you to watch next, and I'm sure that you're going to love it. Here's the playlist for all of the latest in transit news and views that you're going to find very informative and interesting. And finally, here is the latest video. Thanks for watching, and happy transiting.